Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm really enjoying the immersion and the topics that we're using in the yamas and the niyamas. I just had a little kitten visit there, and they were not practicing aparigraha. They were definitely wanting more. So they've now gone. Maybe they'll come back and be contented, which comes up in the niyamas when we talk about contentment and santosha. But our topic this week is aparigraha, and we're going to continue forth with that. So please take a comfortable seat. And yeah, you can rest your hands in your lap. Let your eyes close. And when you come to your seat, you can first practice just arriving. You've made it here, you've made a commitment. That's really important. Your community is making a commitment. That's nourishing your sense of being here, and you're nourishing their sense of being here as well. And then bring into your awareness the concept of aparigraha, which we've been talking about. Translated, it means the absence of grasping, the absence of possessiveness, the absence of hoarding. And I like to add the absence of acquisition, as if there's more to keep acquiring. I sometimes reflect on the numbers of ways in which people have things in storage, both literally the storage units that have been built, and some people may have more than one storage unit, for example. But then there's also that which we're kind of storing in our bodies, let's say from the past, and that which we're storing, we're waiting for a future day to do something or to explore something. There's what we store in our minds, the impressions we have that filter information in the present. Aparigraha is really about simplifying all of that, simplifying how many possessions, simplifying the need to want something more. It addresses an inner sense of, let's say, a deficit or some perception of deficiency. You can just ask yourself today during your practice, what are you willing to let go of, to take out of storage and and let it go? Or, the practice will be cleansing for the body. So how are you willing to be updated as a result of that cleansing, to update your perspective on what you need, to hold on to what you need to acquire? Please raise your hands to your heart. And we'll chant the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhastava Tat Savitor Varenyam Argo devasya dhimahi Dhiyo yo na prachodayata Om Bhargava Tatsavitur Varenyo Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo yo na prachodayata Om Bhargava Tatsavitur Varenyo Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo yo na prachodayata Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om With your exhale, you're welcome to bow your head to your heart. And release your hands. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, so cleansing, a cleansing practice, releasing the storage. So we'll do a little pranayama that we call kriya, where we're actually doing a cleansing process with the breath. And then I'd like to explore some deeper twists. You're going to need 2 blankets for class today. I think most of you have that. It'll also be helpful to have a couple of blocks. You don't need them right now. So in your upright seat, let's bring awareness down to the second chakra for bhastrika, a strong exhale out the mouth, as if you were blowing out a candle several times rapidly. Let's begin. How long? Inhale to suspension. Exhale through the nose, slowly and completely. Deeply relax. Kappalabhati through the nose, which is a little bit more rapid, but using a similar function in the abdomen here. Exhale smoothly for the full length of the exhale. Inhale up to suspension. Exhale completely. Transition to Vajrasana, please. In Vajrasana, we're going to be using inhale up, the hands are spread open, exhale to pull down. So it's a strong, brisk inhale and brisk exhale. After, we're going to rest, and then we'll be taking a visit to child's pose like we were doing yesterday, where you put one hand in the lap of the other across the small of the back like that. Okay, so let's begin. Inhale. Exhale, release the arms, relax the breath suspension, rest your hands in your lap. And place the hands at the small of the back, one hand in the lap of the other, and come down to child's pose. Notice the pressure you have against the thighs, so the abdomen and the torso pressing against your thighs. And notice the breath going to the sides of the waist or the back waist as well. And then raise up to kneeling. Okay, so same practice, a little bit more brisk. Let's begin. Inhale. Exhale, rest your hands in your lap. Relax completely. And down to child's pose and rest the other hand, opposite hand in the lap of the other hand. Notice the pressure systems in the body and how the breath expands where it goes to. And then rise up to kneeling. In Vajrasana, consider again, from an inner place of wisdom, near to the sixth chakra, for example, If you were gazing out over, surveying, like I said last week, as if you were a lighthouse and you're sort of surveying the surround. What might it look like for you to loosen your grip on something, including possessions, thoughts, the things that are stored in your life, in your body? And as Shakespeare said, you can't take it with you. And let's take this pack of 2 blankets. And I'd like you to place them down on your mat like a bolster. You can have a block nearby. You might want that. And please lie on your back so that the blankets or the bolster are under the upper back. When you lie backwards like this, for some of you, it's going to be quite natural for the head to come to the floor. And when I say natural, it should feel like it's got the natural curve of your neck. Don't pull your hair under the bolster. For some, this is not going to feel like you could put the head back naturally. And that's where you might take a block and place it under the head like this. So I'd like you to decide based on your actual experience, there should not be any sense of like pinching or overextending the neck or the lumbar spine. And take the legs and stretch them out. Okay, so from where you are here now, reach out from your hips to your heels. You're going to sense that blood supply goes back down the legs. And let's take the second block. If you have no block under your head, of course, take the first block. Place it between your palms so your hands are shoulder width apart. And then reach overhead. And gently press the heels of your hands against the block as well as your knuckles. Your fingers might extend beyond the block. Notice now the breath has a lot of freedom here. We don't have pressure against the abdomen. So you can expand in the front body, the sides of the waist, possibly even the back body. Leaving the block on the floor there. Take the arms wide. Please bend your knees. And roll onto your left side. You're going to want a block under your head. So roll onto your left. So now you have the blanket under the left rib cage only. Place the block under your head so your neck is not tipping down awkwardly. Bring the knees up towards the chest here. You could have a block between the knees for anybody for whom you have a lower back sensitivity or a sacroiliac issue. You can put a block like this. It's not necessary, but you're welcome to do it. And then take the right arm up and twist open to your right. And let's be honest about how far the body will go. Maybe you're not your most warmed up, twisty self. Maybe you are, but you have a limitation in the body somewhere. So this openness here, we're going to use for our inhale. And then exhale, reach across. So your right hand goes past your left arm. Inhale, raise up and open. Exhale, reach up and across. Inhale, raise up. Couple times more. So a reminder that the hips and legs are stable. So it's really like you're turning the lid of the jar. You're not also turning the jar. In this way, there's a cleansing response with the breath and the movement simply because we're moving the myofascial system and also the lymph system. But in addition to that, there is this cleansing in the inner belly. And when we twist to the right, let's stay this time. As you're twisting, there's like a massage, a little squeeze into the right side of the abdomen. So you've got your liver, your gallbladder, the ascending colon. And then raise up with your right arm, and let's release the first side and go to the second side. So you can, if you've got a block between your knees, go ahead and keep it there. Come onto your back. Then lie on your right side. And you might have to adjust your block for your head. You bring the knees up towards the torso. And then as you inhale, raise the left arm up. And you get kind of this first impression, this first, can I say, raw impression of how twisty you are in this direction. And let's use the breath here. So we're going to exhale, come up and over, reach your left hand past your right. And then exhale, left arm up. I'm sorry, inhale, left arm up and open. Now keep the legs stable, the sacrum and the pelvis stable. And then exhale, reach across again. And go at the pace of your breath now. Consider the sensations and the breath and all of those things, but also remind yourself this is a cleansing practice, as it is every day. But sense today, what are you willing to let go of in terms of your possessions or thoughts or things you hold on to in your body? What are you willing to let go of? Twice more. And you may be noticing that breath to breath or rotation to rotation, your body gains a little bit of access because you're cleansing that which would be impeding your flexibility. So let's stay open for the next one. Open and honest with yourself about how far you can reach and how far you can't reach. But place your mind down into the left lower belly. So you have the descending colon, the spleen, pancreas, transverse colon, of course, is there as well. Keep the legs stable. You may wish to hold the top thigh with your hand. And then let's release, come around and up to table pose. In your table pose, then reach back to child's pose, but cross the ankle. So please put one ankle on the top of the other. And inhale forward to table pose. Change the cross of the ankles. Exhale, reach back to child's pose. You're temporarily causing compression in the ankles and in one thigh more than the other. When the right ankle is on top, it's your right hip that has a little more compression. Let's inhale forward to table. Switch the ankles. Exhale, reach back. Stay back for a breath cycle. Inhale, forward to table. Switch the ankles, and one more time, go back to child's pose. Okay, and then inhale, forward to table pose, uncurl the ankles, tuck your toes under, and reach up into downward facing dog pose. And give attention in dog pose to what's happening now in your body. We did some opening for the torso. So how does that feel relative to, let's say, your calf muscles or your hamstrings? And let's walk the feet forward and the hands backwards and come into Uttanasana. In this Uttanasana, to bring in a sense of that cleansing practice, again, I'd like you to bend the knees. And so your torso is going to rest against your thighs. When you come down like that, put the hands at the back of your ankles. Give a good little snug squeeze to the torso on the thighs. Exhale. And then inhale, bring the arms and the legs towards straight, lengthen the spine forward. And exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, glide forward, open the sides of the torso. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the torso down. And again, inhale, lengthen forward. And exhale, squeeze. You can bend the knees. Shift your hands to your hips and please rise up to standing. And come into mountain pose. Notice the circulation moving through you. Sometimes I say it's like effervescence, like the bubbles. I'd like to get into a bit more of the cleansing, the way that we use the lymph system, and we're going to focus on that in the armpits and shoulder girdles, and then in the groin and the inner pelvis. Then we'll come back to some twisting actions. So please take a jazz dance warm-up pose. Press out from the inner thighs towards the knees. You can straighten the arms, and the arms are going to be kind of secure against the rib cage or the upper chest. So this is more of an open pose that we're doing right now. It doesn't have as much compression from the torso to the thighs as you can sense. So as you're breathing, let's see if we can roll the thighs with the hands to roll them open. So like there's rotation, not just a pressure to abduct the knees, but also some rotation for the skin of the thighs. So if you place your hand maybe on the middle of the thigh, also you can walk up the legs and rotate the thighs, the muscles externally. And then to do that with a little bit of a twist, what we're going to do is keep the right hand where it is. Take your left hand, turn it in and place it high up against the inner thigh and rotate the inner thigh open as you twist to your right. Take the middle of the thigh, rotate it open as you twist to your right. So the left hand gets a little adjustment there. And then go to the knee and rotate your left thigh open. So what you're doing is rotating the thigh muscle and the skin externally. Come back to center. Please twist to your left. Take the right hand to the upper inner thigh and rotate. Come to the middle of the thigh and rotate. And then come closer to the knee and rotate. And then come back to center. Press out against the thighs. And please rise up to standing. You're going to get some circulation going down the legs. Please make the feet parallel and a little bit closer. Great. And then bend your knees. Come down with the torso against the thighs. Reach back to interlace your fingers. Hold on, I have hair in my mouth. Reach back to clasp the hands. Roll the shoulders open. And keep the knees pretty bent so you really have the torso down between the inner thighs to the best of your ability. Squeeze the shoulders up away from the floor, up away from the base of the skull. We do have compression on the hip joints and also on the shoulder joints right now. Keep dropping the hips back. Put your weight into your heels. Raise the shoulders and the arms up. And then exhale, slowly straighten the legs little bit by little bit so that your chest stays in contact with your thighs, the inner thighs. Put your forehead on your kitten. And then inhale, glide your heart forward and rise up to standing. Root the tailbone down and release the arms so that they dangle. Notice it's like opening up waterways in nature. You've opened up the circulation pathways in the body. You take a wide stance, looking out for kittens. She left so quietly. Turn the left heel out, please. Turn the right foot directly out. You'll want your blocks. I see that mine, I need to reach for them. So the blankets we don't need right now, but the blocks we will want. So go ahead and place your blocks somewhere near to your right foot. And we're going to be coming down into some upper inner thigh stretching. So turn the left heel back and the right foot out. And then come down, please, to your right. Keep the right thigh and right hip stable, and you may come down to your elbows. You could make the blocks taller. You can stack the two blocks to make them taller. You could put them on the tall setting if they're stable. As you come down towards your forearms, keep the right knee pressing open and imagine how you were rotating your thigh before, that if you had an extra hand, you could reach up and rotate your right thigh externally. Hold the back of your right ankle with your right hand and snuggle your shoulder down under your right knee. So then you have a lot more compression, and you're also squeezing the right low belly, which is the ascending colon. It's okay to relax the weight of the head. And place your hands on the two blocks. Rise up to your fingertips. Straighten your right leg. Root the tailbone, make the torso like cat pose. So you can have a sense with cat pose that you're giving clearance to the right upper inner thigh. Keep the right leg strong, and let's open up to triangle pose. Root down through your right heel, energize your right leg muscles. And then exhale, bring the left hand down, bend the right knee deeply. Come onto your forearms.
Bow the head. Keep the right knee lined up. And as you snuggle your right hand to the back of your ankle or the back of your shin, you can snuggle your right shoulder under your right thigh. It doesn't have to go all the way. We're just looking for some compression right now. You might also sense how the right low belly squeezes and the right lower back opens. Breathe in and then transition your hands to your blocks. Come to your fingertips, straighten your right leg. There's going to be cat pose for the spine. You should sense that you've opened up this pathway for circulation going down the leg. And then inhale, open up to triangle pose. Now keep the right outer thigh strong, the right outer hip and outer heel strong, so the inner right leg is long. And let's take the left arm past the left ear. Breathe in. And then exhale, rise up to standing. Turn your right foot in. Let's step into mountain pose. And check and see what is the feeling tone in the body. What's happening now? You might feel kind of lopsided. We're not going to leave it that way. Okay, let's take a wide stance again and turn your left foot out. Get the blocks over to the, turn your right heel out and then your left foot out this way. So right heel, left foot. It's actually my left, but for you it's my right. Okay, bend the left knee and come down. So you could stack the blocks to make them taller. There's always options. You can also use a chair instead of the blocks. Come down to the chair seat with your elbows. You relax the weight of the head. The torso is broad on the back side. This is a little bit like child's pose. And consider how you were rotating your left thigh before. You were doing that external rotation, and try to keep a sense of that when your left leg is in this position as well. And snuggle your left hand behind your left ankle. And as you're scooching under, you're adding compression. So now the left side of the belly, that is the descending colon. Let the breath be smooth and natural. And then place your hands on your blocks. Rise up to your fingertips, straighten the left leg, and come into your cat pose spine. So you're giving some clearance right now where you might sense the circulation going back down the left leg. And then open to triangle pose, trikonasana. And feel into the beauty of opening up circulation, right? So one of the things you can imagine is teeny tiny little matchbox cars like dump trucks, and they're picking up the excess hormones in your body and taking them to the site where they're going to get released. And exhale and come down, bend your left knee. Down again to your forearms if you like. Relax the weight of your head. You may then take your left hand behind your left ankle. You can kind of scooch the torso. So you have to shorten the torso if you have a long torso and shorter limbs. You have to really use your cat pose, kind of a coiling of the spine, to help your shoulder go under. Okay, and then raise up to your fingertips on your blocks, straighten your left leg, find your cat pose spine. So you're opening the left hip right there, not completely, but somewhat, and you can feel the circulation going down. And then open up to triangle pose. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. Keep the right outer hip toned. And as you next exhale, rise up to standing. Turn the left foot in. Let's make the feet parallel. And then step into mountain pose. And notice, I hope you feel less lopsided. Now to sit on a stack of 2 blankets. Go ahead and keep them stacked as they have been. Come down to take a seat. Let's put the left foot under. I'll call that my left. And with the right foot, let's pick up the right ankle and place it on the left knee. For me, that means this is my left knee actually. So my knee is kind of high. I could rest my teacup here and I could nearly sip it right from there. I won't. So for those of you having a mild stretch right now, we have these words in yoga, mild, medium, or intense. It's usually referred to the kind of effort that somebody has to make for their awakening. Some of us get to make mild effort and we're like, you know, launched into consciousness. Some have to make medium effort, some have to be more intense. Mild, medium, or intense sensation. If this is mild for you, it's not for me, but if it's mild for you, lift up through the torso and go ahead and come forward. If this is a medium stretch for you, then know that I am sending you empathy. If this is an intense stretch, you might want to back out. You don't need to have intense in order to cause a kind of cleansing response. Lift up through the heart. Backing away from a pose a few degrees could mean put an extra blanket under your pelvis. It could mean that you, instead of crossing your ankle all the way to your knee, you could put a block and put your ankle here. It's a little bit lower than the knee. So a couple of options exist there. If you are someone who's bending forward, know that I support you. I celebrate you. Please rise up to your seat and let's take the left hand to the right heel. Okay, and bring your foot forward. So we want the right knee to go a little bit back alongside the torso. Take your right hand under your right ankle here. And let's glide that as we just had when we were standing. So the knee is close to the shoulder here. And you could even imagine, for some of you, you have a longer torso like I do and a shorter thigh bone. So we have to kind of be squishy. But for others, the torso is shorter, the thigh bone is longer. They might have their knee over their shoulder like a sash or a shawl. Press your right forearm, upper arm, elbow against the right thigh. So we are taking the right knee kind of back behind the shoulder. For anybody who'd like to, you can practice then straightening the right leg.
And you've got the arm, so you have this little curl in that direction. And then bend your right knee, let that one come down, and stretch out your right leg to the side. So what you have now is likely a circulatory response going down your right leg. Because we're sitting up, that means that this space opens here, circulation can go back down. Okay, now while sitting up, take our little block, twist to your left, rotate the right thigh externally. So if you have to give it a reminder, you can use your hand to help turn the thigh muscle. So that's really important, that you do have a sense that the thigh, the femur, is external. Glide down as you twist left, side bend to your right. And then raise your left arm past your left ear. Keep twisting to your left, so it feels like the lower belly, the chest, the heart, they're rotating left, even though you are side bending to your right. This is a cleansing pose as well. You're opening up the left side torso, the diaphragm. The left arm reaching like this is influencing the lymph system. You are squeezing the right side of the waist, which is the ascending colon. Let's inhale, rise up to sitting. Now, a cool thing can happen here. I'm going to ask you to come to Shavasana for a moment. So stretch out. And when you lie down, listen for the circulatory pathways. It's like going to mountain pose in the standing sequence. Okay, what's happening? How do the legs feel left to right? What's happening with the arms, fingers, thumbs? Now, while we're here, let's just run a teeny experiment because we can. Take one block and place it under the back of your pelvis and stretch the legs out and see how they're feeling. Like, we weren't doing a hip flexor stretch there, but what does it feel like for you in the region of the pelvis, the hip flexors, the lymph, the groin? So my experience is that the leg that we were working with, I don't have a sense of tension over those hip flexors. I do on the other side. I have a little bit of tension there. And, you know, that's like a part of life, but it's interesting to sense we didn't do a specific hip flexor stretch, but you may have benefited the region of the hip flexors. So that it brings the question, you know, sometimes when you're stretching, go ahead and come up to sitting. When you're stretching, is that musculoskeletal tightness, or is that like residue? Is it like you've got extra hormones in the system just lying there causing some tightness, and so on? So let's bring the right thigh and shin down to Siddhasana. Momentito. That's my brain tea that I'm drinking. Okay. Pick up the left and place your ankle across your right knee. Lift up through your heart. See, this one's only a little bit lower for me. It's not drastically different, but this is life with two titanium hips. Thank you to my surgeons whose initials are M.W. They both have the same initials. In 2010, I woke up from my surgery to see M.W. They had both signed my leg just with a marker. This year, Mark did not sign my leg. I don't know, maybe he ran out of ink. So if you'd like to go forward, you can. It's within your reach. You're welcome to do so. Otherwise, sitting upright is enough stretch for some of us. You can also, if you're upright like I am, You could play with this rotation. You can add it with your hands. This gives some unctuousness, some kappa, some unctuousness to the thigh. And then with your inhale, please rise up to sitting. And let's take the right hand to the left heel to get my lefts and rights. So right hand to your left heel. Bring the left arm on the inside. And we are asking if we can snuggle the left knee back behind the left shoulder. There's several factors there. Of course, the basic flexibility that you have, the shape of your hip joints, but also the length of your torso and the length of your thigh bone. A longer torso means you have to kind of put more flexion into the spine. So as you're snuggling back, you might then choose to hold this for a few moments with some pressure from your right hand against your left heel. And then you can hold your left ankle with your left hand, and you may be someone who can take the leg out towards straight, and that curves this arm on purpose. Lift the heart a little bit. And then let's bring this one down and place your left leg out in this sort of Janusirsasana position here. And notice if there is some circulation going back down to your foot. And then preparing for Parvita Janusirsasana, I'm going to use a block because I like it. Rotate your torso and your abdomen to the right. And then side bend to your left. Add your right arm. Let's try to keep the right hip grounded on the blanket, please. The left leg can be strong. You can imagine the rotation of your thigh bone is external. Twisting a little bit to your right. So the lower belly, the right outer hip, the right side waist, they are rotating. Right chest, right heart. And then rise up to sitting. Relax the right arm down. Bring the left leg in. And I'd like you to turn your blankets to go horizontally across your mat. Place your hips on your blankets and lie down. A little bit like the Shavasana experiment that we just had with the block. When you lie down, take the legs out straight. And check and see what happens with regard to your hip flexors. And also that circulation moving downstream to your feet. The arms overhead. Keeping some tone in the belly. Please bend your knees, put the inner edges of the feet together, and then open the legs out to bhastrika. Bhastrika, notice is there some restriction or some ease?
Raise the knees, press into your heels gently, and slide the two blankets under the back of your hamstrings. Take the legs out. Come to Shavasana. You had a very cleansing practice this morning. Not that other practices are not, but it might be really helpful to consider your water intake today. When you come to Shavasana, ask again from the wisest, most flexible, the least attached part of you, that sort of vata dosha aspect. What is it that you could let go of today, aparigraha? What can you reduce in terms of what you've been hoarding or possessing or acquiring? Find rest in this subtle pulsation. I spoke about that the last couple of days. That pulsation you might feel in your fingertips, in your feet, in the skin of the body, in the interior, in the superficial, and everything in between. Keep your mind at rest on the pulsation. Sense that pulsation consistently with continuity and without interruption. You are likely to be experiencing yoga. body to be really still, and also the mind. Just noticing the inner pulsation. Let's keep it that simple. You're noticing sometimes the pulsation will be there consistently. You may get a wave in the body of warmth or coolness, or sometimes a little jolt or a spark, but stay in observing. Keeping the stillness of the body and the awakeness of the mind without judgment, just noticing. Begin to wiggle your toes and then let them get still. Wiggle the fingers, notice the mind. Let the fingers get still. And the mind remain tranquil in the transition. Now bend one knee at a time. To your side. Raise up to sitting. That's the biggest transition, so do it thoughtfully. That's in your lap, and let's take the hands into the position for the first chakra. Bring your awareness down to the base. We sense our relationship to the earth today and know that we have enough stuff. We don't need to acquire more stuff. And that which we've been carrying, we can release so the energy won't be trapped in us. It's freed to support our journey in consciousness. We'll chant Lam 5 times, 5 times.
Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Deeply relax. Let your mind rest in the quiet, the absence of thought, the fullness of presence. Remain still and quiet. You can sense the pulsation in the entirety of the body. Your hands to your heart. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Thank you, Nakula, for demonstrating Saucha. We're going to come to that niyama. You can be our guest lecturer.